Go.
Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be going over cardio machines, cardio for warming up, and cardio for working out. So the first thing to know is the equipment. And in this video, my gym is closed down, unfortunately, so we're going to have to use our imaginations and pretend this is a treadmill. So I'm going to demonstrate the proper way to use the machines. And the first proper way is go over the safety, how to approach them, how to get on them. So the first thing with a treadmill, when approaching it, is make sure it's off. You can pat it and to step on it like so. Now usually on treadmills, treadmill's fine now. It's not moving or anything like that. Usually on treadmills you'll have two bars on the side, and those you can hold when you're just starting it up. So they'll usually be at the side of the treadmill. You also have a band that you can put on your arm. Say if you are to fall off for any reason, the treadmill itself will stop and prevent any further injury. Now, one of the issues with treadmills, they don't imitate the cushioning that you usually get when you're running, when you're on the ground. So that's a bit of an issue with them. So a good way to get a feel is just to pat it lightly before you start walking on it. One way to never approach a treadmill is if it's already moving and there will be sort of pads at the side. You should never stand on those while it's moving and then step on it. That can be a bit of a shock to the system. It's very easy to trip when doing that. So the main way to do it is make sure you have the wristband around for emergencies and to be holding onto them. Then you can start off slowly when you're walking on it, and you can go up and down in weight or in intensity. And before you start working out, just test that as well, going up and down intensity with the treadmill. And it is, as I said before, it's a bit more of a higher impact machine than you would normally have when you're running. So make sure that you test it out on your feet as well. So when you're finished using the treadmill, you make sure to turn it off, unhook your wristband, and step down safely. Always be wiping down the equipment that you used. So then, using the bike for warming up, the stationary bike, so if you want to step off that. So what we do to get on it, wait before I get on, is first we put our butt down on the seat, and then afterwards we put our feet into the holsters. So if a bike like this, it's got straps on the feet, and this one's pretty good. You can adjust them pretty well. So always making sure they're tight so they don't slip out, because if they slip out, one of your legs can keep going and it can hit you on the foot. So so that's the main thing about safety with these, how to get on. So when warming up with these guys, so with this one, it's a bit different than normal bikes, where it's just a regular bike seat like you would find on a bike. This one has more of a backrest. It's good for those who don't have so much support in their hips, and so you're using a lot less of the hip muscles, the hip abductors, and you're using more of your legs, such as the glutes and the calves and that sort of thing, right? And so if you want to just keep going with it.
It's kind of long.
Yeah, also, she just mentioned that you've got a bit of length between here. You can also adjust the length of the seat compared to the rest of the machine as well. So I was on before, I had it a bit longer. She needs it a bit shorter. So what she's doing right now is she's warming up for a workout. And the problem with this, as opposed to the treadmill, is you're only really working the lower muscles on this one. While on the treadmill, you're working a lot more of the upper body muscles. So in that sense, it's using a lot more of the, when doing that, it's a lot better for lower body workouts because it's activating the synovial fluids, which is the fluid between the joints and the joint cavities that allow the joints to move without friction. It's not doing that so much for the upper body, which is why this is a better machine to warm up for only lower body workouts. So when warming up, what's happening is your the body temperature is increasing, so the muscles are getting more oxygen, it's warming them up, and that's better to prevent injury. The whole point of this is to prevent injury, because if you warm up on cold muscles, that can happen. It's a lot more strenuous on them. So you're warming up, that's happening. You're increasing your range of motion as the muscles elongate when you're warming up. As I mentioned before, increasing the synovial fluids within the joints of where you're warming up. Usually when I'm working out, I like to do a full body workout, so I like to warm up my whole body before to make sure that the synovial fluid is going between all of my joints. Very important. So those are the physiological responses. It also stimulates motor units. So when you're actually working out, you know, your brain is responding a lot more to your body than normal, so you'll have quicker reaction time. So now when you're actually doing the cardio workout as well, the physiological effects when you're doing the workout rather than the warm-up. So you're burning fat for the most part, your body's going through fat rather than carbs in a cardio workout, unless you're doing something like fartleks or, you know, high intensity interval training, where at that point the body's running on carbs because it's looking for that fast energy with the absence of oxygen. So those are physiological responses. When it comes to exertion, to measure exertion, how much cardio output you have and whether or not you're hitting the maximal amount or just staying where you want to in training a bit below the maximal amount. There are a few different tests. We can do a heart rate test. So if we can calculate her resting heart rate, and also calculate her maximum heart rate, and then this machine right here is convenient because it's got these right here which actually tell us what her heart rate is at the moment. Also a Fitbit watch works just as well for that. So to measure her heart rate and compare that to the resting and the maximal heart rate. Also another is the Borg scale, where you ask your client, you know, how intense is this right now on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being nothing at all and 10 being the maximum amount that they can do. And you always want them to work out between 4 and 9. You don't want them to hit 10, because that can, you know, that means that you could be overtraining, and you never want that. So another one is the talking test. So if you're talking with your client and they're able to hold a conversation with you, that means that they're probably not working out, like they're probably not working high enough. They're probably working around a 3 on the Borg scale or something like that. So the talking test as well. So their perceived exertion also goes into it, as well as their heart rate. So say that they are going at a 10, and that can lead to over-exercising. What we want to do is decrease intensity, and how we can tell that, if they're not showing the signs themselves, if they're not telling us that they're working too hard, is to show their heart rate. If it's too high, that's one of them, that we have to decrease intensity in that sense. And if the resting heart rate increases, that means after the workout is done and they've gone down, you know, taken a few minutes to cool down, if their resting heart rate is too up there, that means that they've worked out too hard. If the client is dizzy or nauseated while working or after working out, also a sign that they have worked too hard. You should never be dizzy or nauseated after. If they are experiencing chronic fatigue days later, then that's also a sign that they have been working out. They haven't replenished their glucose levels after they've worked out enough, but mainly that they haven't worked. They have been overtraining, and any other training symptoms that they might have would go into that. So those are all signs that during a cardio workout that you should decrease the intensity that they are working out. Thank you.